Hi, I'm Ladey, Keep Unfrozen Ministries. Where are you on your social media continuum? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you manage it? Do you think, oh, I've got to join in? If you're watching this or listening to this, then obviously you're into it to some degree, and I thank you for that. But it's quite interesting to know there's now a big generation gap. So anybody 20 years or younger have never known life without the internet, without social media, and without using all the variants of Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. I mean, 1997 was when sort of MySpace and Twitter came about. So, you know, if you think back of before and after, it's quite amazing when you've been in a generation that you saw it grow until we have what we have today. And, you know, it was partly the fact of the 6 degrees of separation, with the premise that, you know, there's only 6 steps away before you actually know someone. So those other ones in between, they're getting to know those people as well. Really quite interesting. Now, I've been lucky enough to be enthused at different times about social media, usually when someone else is enthused. And just lately, Linda Sapancic has really said to me, come on, let's do Twitter. So she's sort of reminding me of the wonders of it and showing me parts that I'd forgotten or don't know. So there'll be more Twitter activity from me, that's for sure. There's nothing like the enthusiasm from somebody else to ignite your interest. Now, I'm just thinking, you know, the social media, we sit with our daughters now and everybody's got the phones on or laptops on the lap, might be watching TV, but that social media is constant. And sometimes it can be a bit irritating for us in the older generation, because for me it's conversation. But conversation are happening right next to me that I'm not included in, and that's where I have a slight issue. But on the whole, I think the fact that we can have conversations with anybody in the world through this technology is just absolutely fantastic. Obviously we can have conversations upstairs as well at any time without the technology, and that is a really personal conversation to think on. Going back to the social media though, I was very struck in a recent meeting when somebody said the words, I don't do social media. And it's like a red flag for me when somebody says, I don't do. Because I know it's a conversation stopper. It stops the communication. Now, I would kind of put football into a I don't do bracket, but it's not quite true. Because, alright, I don't particularly enjoy watching football on TV, therefore I don't do it. I've only attended 2 matches in my whole life, both of which I've really enjoyed when I went there. But recently where I live, Lincoln is doing wonderfully. Now I still don't want to go particularly and watch them, but I do love hearing those that do, those that are enthusiastic about our Lincoln City football team and what it's meaning to the town. So I can, Navacracy, I think is the word. You tell me what that word is anyway. But it's a nice big long one. I can live through their enthusiasm and enjoy it. But if I say to somebody who's telling me all about that football match, oh, I don't do football, it's poof, it stops. So I want you to think about what you don't do. What are you in the I don't do that? And re-examine it, because it could be that you're missing out. You're missing out on a lot of fun, or just knowing that little bit. Because that stopping is a frozen action. It freezes your heart, it freezes your relationship from that person who's telling you about it. So, where am I going with this? Well, I am going to Acts 10, because there was a time when Peter said to his people, all the time, I don't do that. And one of the things he didn't do was wrapped up in his Jewish culture, his Jewish traditions, his Jewish understanding. And that's round things that Jews don't eat, and some things that they definitely do not do. But God challenged him. He challenged him in a vision, in a dream in Acts 10 by saying, look, this is my bounty of the world. These are all the foods that are here. And in it were some of the banned foods of the Jews. And he said, I want you to rethink. And what the analogy was he wanted Peter to change his attitude towards the Gentiles. Peter was giving God's message. He was telling about his relationship with Jesus, but only to other Jews. And yes, that was working, but God had a bigger intention. He wanted you and me and those others to know about him. And therefore the Gentiles had to learn and had to hear from Peter. But how could they? Because Peter didn't do that. He was challenged, just as God might be challenging you on what I don't do. So the next time you either find yourself saying, I don't do, think again. And in the meantime, my challenge to you is to maybe do a little list. Do a little list and share it with me of all the things that are in your I don't do category. And perhaps it's time to re-examine and see, what are you missing out by not doing those? Are there something you think, no, okay, I will just change my phraseology so I will listen to the enthusiasms of people in those categories? I'm Lady Adey. Keep on frozen. Let me know.